Brian Vander Ark Show.
Hey, George, how you doing, man?
I'm sneaking by. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for doing this. We're super stoked you're coming to Michigan again. This has to be, this has to be a pretty successful area for you. I mean, we're all, we're a rock and roll state. Roll up your sleeves, put your head down, do the work kind of thing, and that's kind of music I feel like you put out, man.
Well, it's if it's not the premier rock and roll state, it's right up there. I mean, you gave us the Amboy Dukes, you gave us Bob Seger, of course Motown. I mean, you gave us Madonna. I mean, come on. I mean, that's maybe. Michigan, the whole Ann Arbor, Detroit area, it's just, didn't you give us Grand Funk Railroad? And
oh, yeah, we did.
I mean, I could keep going and going. Yeah. I mean, you're just loaded up there.
We really are, but there's nothing else to do up here in wintertime except play rock and roll and go to rock and roll shows.
Well, the Lions and the Tigers are improving, so there's that.
That's the truth. That's the truth. You mentioned the Tigers. I read that you played ball yourself. Is that right?
Well, a little bit. And who hasn't?
Well, that's true. But weren't you semi-pro?
Very semi.
Which one was the fallback? Which one was the safety net for you, music or baseball then?
There was no safety net. I could have made the big leagues, except for I couldn't hit, run, or throw.
That's like me. I'm 6'6". I can't go to my left in basketball. It was very disappointing for everyone. Hey, I want to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. You're one of the great rock guitarists out there. I just wonder if you have any memory of the first time you held a guitar in your hand. What was it? Was it a gift? Was it somebody else's? Any story behind that?
Well, no, not really. I can't. I got a guitar for Christmas, and and I was taking guitar lessons. I'm not really getting anywhere with it. And there was some friends up the street who had a band, and they asked me to sit in because their lead singer couldn't make it, and I knew the words to a few songs, and they wanted to keep me in the band, but they had two guitar players, so they talked me into trading my guitar in for a bass guitar. And that's pretty much how I started.
Oh, man. The first time I ever heard your music was in the movie Christine. All right. Super fun movie from Stephen King book. Bad to the Bone plays through the opening credits. Of course, you know this. I can't think of a better backdrop for cars coming off the assembly line than that song. It's like the perfect marriage of movie and music. Can you tell me anything about that? How it came about? Your reaction when you saw it? Have you seen it?
I've never seen that movie. I've seen it little tiny bits and pieces. I've been a little busy lately, Brian.
I can imagine. I mean, you tour all the time, right?
Not really all the time. I'm kidding, of course. I've just not really gotten around to seeing that motion picture yet. Maybe someday I will.
Hey, I'm talking to George, legendary George Thorogood. He's playing with the Destroyers at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant on February 15th. Tickets are available at georgethorogood.com. Hey, your birthday's coming up as well, and we don't have to talk about your age or anything, but you've been touring for over 50 years, and you're still at it. What's the secret to this kind of career, man?
What's the secret?
Yeah, man.
Well, whenever I get a phone call from our manager, I generally say no, and then he calls me back, and I go, "How much?"
That's your negotiating. That's your way of negotiating. I love it. I love that. I saw that back in the 80s, you did 50.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Did you or did you not use the word legendary?
I used legendary. I don't throw that out easily, my friend.
I'm liking you more and more.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, you've got, and just bear with me for a second here because I'm a big fan. I'm super excited to have you. But honestly, you have something that I was hard-pressed to find anybody else who does what you do and has done it for this long and satisfied crowds so much so that you can continue to tour for 50 years, dude. I mean, that's a spectacular career. I mean, you know that.
Well, thank you. But, there's a lot of people, the world has changed. It used to be no matter what your job was, you had a mandatory thing of when you were 62 or 65 for retirement.
Right.
Now, that's just not the way the world is anymore. People take better care of themselves. People live longer. So, everything keeps going up as far as keeping doing something that relatively in the old days when you were in a rock band or played rock and roll especially, you were done at the age of 30 or maybe 35 tops. The world has changed. It's not like that anymore. So, as long as the demand is there and we can deliver, well, why not stay with it?
Yeah, why not? I mean, what would be the point in retiring if you're doing what you love to do? You know what I mean? So I agree.
Well, I could think of a lot of reasons. I won't go into that right now.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, this is in line with one of my questions, which is playing so much over the years and playing night after night. You're not a guy that, it doesn't seem like you're a guy that sings from your diaphragm the way that they tell you should sing. I mean, you're a full-throated singer. To be able to do that night after night, any secrets there at all?
I have always appreciated a good night's sleep.
Oh, yeah, is that right?
Yeah. A good night's sleep and try to stay with a healthy diet.
Yeah, man. I mean, most people, consider being on the road nothing but a big party and the whole thing, and it's just not the case, is it?
No, it isn't. It isn't. When you're the entertainment business, if I dare say this, is probably one of the hardest and most tricky, businesses in the world. So it's not something to fool around with. You just can't take it for granted you're going to last forever. You got to keep on top of it all the time. You think Mick Jagger would have lasted this long if he didn't take absolutely great care of himself? No way.
Right.
Right. Look at people like him, who's kind of a mentor of mine or whatever. This guy still weighs exactly what he weighed in 1965. Now, that's not just out of luck or coincidence. You have to work at that kind of thing, Brian. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you're in that world, especially, mostly like the world of athletes and sometimes the world of entertainment, your lifespan can be very short, you see. So it's a different world now than, to hell with caution, let's just party, Jim Morrison and Janis Joplin, the poor souls, they didn't make it. They probably thought that rock and roll is going to be over in a couple of days, so why not live like there's no tomorrow?
Right.
But those days are long gone.
Right.
Have you seen in the last 5 or 10 years what shape Mark Farner's in? Yeah, looks like an Olympic athlete.
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
You once famously said, I don't know how famous it was, but I read it and I was very interested by this. You said playing a new song live is the kiss of death. And I got to say, so many bands do that, but I kind of imagine it's to keep things fresh for themselves. But you don't feel the need to do that, right? I mean, if you're playing every night with your guys, and you've got a great band, right? When you're playing with the bombast of the bass and the drums, and they're leaving that pocket for you to play these great solos in, that's probably fresh enough for you. Am I wrong?
No, Brian, let me rephrase that for you.
Sure.
When I said the kiss of death, no, playing a new song is not the kiss of death when you've been in the business a long time and people are accustomed to listen to your catalog over and over. So it's not the kiss of death to play something new. Don't tell the audience it's something new. I think that's the key. Just play the song and see if people like it.
Yeah, because if they like it, they can... Go ahead, sorry.
Anyway, I've been fortunate when I do play, our band plays a song that the audience is unfamiliar with, that it's close to the style that we do. And a lot of people say, is this an old song of yours or is this a new one? Now, that's good. If they don't know the difference, why announce it? Just play the song and see if they dig it.
That's a great point, because a lot of times, too, they'll look for it and they'll say, I must have missed this one somewhere along the line. It's on an album that I don't have. And then they're going out to search it. And next thing you know, you got another million streams names of a new song. That's a great point, man.
Well, I tell you, Paul McCartney could be his worst enemy. I mean, they got the greatest catalog in the world this side of Bob Dylan. Okay,
right.
The worst thing you say, this is a new song. Right. No, we want to hear A Hard Day's Night.
Right.
Yeah, he's competing with himself, which is the greatest catalog ever.
Yeah, no doubt.
There you have it.
I'm talking to legend George Thorogood. He's playing with the Destroyers at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant on February 15th. Tickets available at georgethorogood.com. Man, this has been really a great conversation. I was so nervous about talking to you. I don't know why, but I just was. I was like, dude, I've known your music for the longest time. I know you're very fan-friendly, too. I see you have a Fan of the Month up on your website. I mean, that must be awesome for a fan to be up on their favorite artist's website. I mean, being fan-friendly is important as well. Am I not wrong?
That's what's totally important. That's fan support is what it's all about. You get fan support, and you get there's so many different outlets for what you do. They have Sirius Radio, they have classic rock radio. There's so many things out there that can be playing anything at any time, and that's a break for me. And say, well, the fan follow. Well, that's what it's all about. You get a fan following. I mean, the place is packed to see the Grateful Dead, and Jerry Garcia's not even alive anymore.
I know, isn't that crazy? What a legend that is.
That's crazy, man. And as far as you being nervous today to speak to me, well, Brian, rest easy. I have that effect on a lot of men.
I'll bet you do, my friend. Listen, I hope you have a great show. Mount Pleasant, back in Michigan, Soaring Eagle Casino. Love to see it. February 15th. Get your tickets available. They're all available at georgethorogood.com. Man, thanks so much for having a conversation with me.
I'm going to lay it on you like my blood brother Peter Wolf. Motor City Shakedown, Detroit Breakdown. Got to get it crazy, baby.
Love it. Thanks, George.